Spring is finally here, and that means new energy, more light, and of course, more time to read and dive into strange worlds with heroic characters. Today, I want to talk with you about all the books I want to read this spring. And in the meanwhile, I will be crocheting the last parts of my first bookcase. Let's dive straight into the first book. The first book that I'm gonna be talking about is a classic, and it's The Secret History by Donna Tartt. This book has been on my list for I think the longest time, but since it's a classic and I'm not a native English speaker, I was very afraid to start reading this book. And not only because it's such a thick one and the pages feel like an actual Bible, it's also very different from what I normally read because I feel like this one is more serious. It's a contemporary novel, which usually I read to go away from like the mundane life. I want heroic adventures and I want to experience epic stories and just have like cozy vibes and not think about just mundane tasks or like going to a college. Basically, I've never really read a lot of contemporary unless it was absolutely necessary. For example, in high school for Dutch, and we had to read like a lot of novels, and they were fun eventually. Like, there was so much symbolism in it, and there were so many things like layers that you could dissect, and I loved that. But getting started with that in my free time just for the fun of it was never really something that I had. And so reading this felt like a very daunting thing to do. But it has been on my list since forever. And since my friends and I started a book club pretty recently, we decided that this was going to be the first book on our list. And I'm not sure if that's a smart idea, but we've done that. And so I will be reading this spring. I'm very curious where this elite group of friends are gonna take us, and I'm excited to also dive into this dark academic book and see what it has to offer and if it's actually as good as everyone claims it is. Because I feel like it should be, because Donna Tartt wrote for I think more than 8 years on this novel, which in itself is also like insane. I feel like now that I am also writing my own novels and not only reading books for the fun of it, I'm like, ooh, that's a lot of time. It's daunting to read that as someone who writes because this is a compelling story. It has a lot of what I have to like get better at, like dialogue and all these like story structures, and she writes it very differently from like the books that go trending and things like that. So I'm very interested in what I can learn about this also for my writing, but I'm also kind of scared, and therefore the next book is more up my alley, and that will be a new book. It's not new, I did buy it because I couldn't find it anywhere in the library, and that because it's a new, like, it was published I think in 2024. Let me check. Yes. Yes, it was published in 2024, and this book is by Asmi Jikimi Pearson, and it's called The Principle of Moments. And I would never have stumbled upon this book in the bookstores because I don't think they have it here in the Netherlands. But I stumbled upon her YouTube channel, and she is such a joy to watch. Like, honestly, I love her inspirational vlogs, and it's just fast paced, but also like very educational and just like normal life. Love it, chef's kiss. But if you haven't seen it yet, check out her YouTube channel as well. this book, I'm very intrigued. Like, I love time traveling, okay? I love that concept. I love fancy books and I love science fiction. So this is a combination. And there is just something about time traveling that's very interesting, because you can already see what's going to happen to this world, but you'd go back in time again and then see what it was like before everything happened, but you don't know what happened. So there's a lot of like, you know, but you don't. And that can be very tricky to pull off, because I feel like some novels try to do this and they don't really, sometimes they miss. And I feel like it's a very tricky thing to write. So I'm very interested in how she did all this. But basically it's about two characters, I think, that we're gonna be following, and one lives in the future and the other one lives in the past, in like the Regency era. And I think there is like a queer royal relationship, but that's not the big part of the story. There is a prophecy about these two characters, and since it says on the back that it's kind of like the magical London of V.I. Schwab, which I love, by the way. If you haven't seen my other book videos, I love V.I. Schwab. This is gonna be my, like, I think it will be my new favorites if it is what it says it is. So, very interested for that one. And I said I would be crocheting in the meantime, but I feel like I'm holding up the books constantly, so I can't even do that. So, okay, the next book, which is, I will make a start, you know, I only have to do like single crochets anyway, so we'll be fine. We'll be fine, because I did like the big pattern beforehand, so now it's only just like single crochets everywhere. It's like the last ties that I need to be doing. It will be fine. I'm just too excited about the books. Let me know, by the way, if you have any of these books on your TBR as well, and if you will start reading them now, or if you're gonna be doing that later. Or if you have other ones that I should be reading, let me know that as well. I always love to hear about new novels and books and stories. So then we're going to one of my favorite authors, which is T.G. Klune, and it's the book In the Lives of Puppets. There's just something about his books that is so cozy, and like, it's about found family a lot of the times, and I feel like this one is about that as well, because there's a human living with 3 robots in this tiny tree house, and there is a robot that he rescues, I believe, and then that leads to a lot of disaster, and I think it's inspired by the story of Pinocchio, so I'm really interested in how that's gonna show in the story itself. But yeah, I'm very intrigued with how that's gonna be. And since I loved his other novels of found family, like in Wolfsong and in The House in the Cerulean Sea, I think I would love this one as well. It's just, I find it also so interesting how he kind of addresses these very deep and emotional topics, but in such a lighthearted way, and it's just, yeah, I'm excited for this one. I look forward to being re-inspired, and it actually inspired, not this one, but The House in the Cerulean Sea inspired my second book that I'm writing right now, which is Project The Dream Waver of Sola, if you haven't seen my latest video. But yeah, excited! Then we have book number 4. It's going so fast already, right? This one I saw in the library. I had never heard of this book before. I've never heard of this author even. And it was just, I read the blurb, I read the back, and I was like, I need to read this. Even if it's not really my genre. This is a dystopian horror novel, if I understood correctly. Dystopian is what I love, but the horror part, I'm not sure. But it's basically the book Eden by Tim Levin, and it's about our world, but then climate catastrophes have happened, and the land is divided into different zones and little islands. And there is this group of adventure racers that are gonna go to one of the oldest zones, Eden. And this is where nature has become like this prehistoric thing again, and it bites. It is destructive for humans, and of course we're diving into that zone as humans. So I'm very interested where this is gonna go, especially since it's more of a like it has more to do with like climate themes, and it's not something that I would normally pick up, but let's see where this one is gonna go. I'm very intrigued. I was very intrigued, and I'm still very intrigued. I wanna know. And apparently he is from the book The Silence, which it says on here, but I've never heard of that before. And it's apparently a movie or a series as well on Netflix. Don't know, but excited for that one. Let's switch it up from horror to a little bit of romance. Oh my god. What is this? I know. Silver Elite by Danny Francis. Sorry, but it's so trending. I saw it and I thought I needed it. And it's a romantasy, but a dystopian one. Better combo than whatever. And it's about this main character, Ren, who is a mod, which is someone who has like psychic abilities. And she's one of the most powerful ones. We always love that. And she basically loves to be around the guys that are supposed to kill her. Who doesn't love that, right? And she goes into this, I think it's like a military base, and she has to go through this training program. I don't know why, but she's doing that. And then she basically trains with the enemy. And she has to hide the fact that she's a mod, which is dangerous, like high stakes. High stakes and a little bit of romance. Who doesn't want that at times? So yeah, we need some time. It's such an inspiration to actually read books that you can just like skim through, because it's so easy and it's so lovely to read, you know? This one. And because we need to cleanse our palette after that, we've got Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. Another classic, I'm afraid. But since everyone is always so hyped about Jane Austen and how well she writes novels and how the character, like, it's always so character driven, I feel like I have to read it. It's a good way to learn, I feel like, but it's also, I'm just curious, you know. I've watched Pride and Prejudice. Love that book. Love that movie, honestly. I should probably read that as well, but I feel like it's such an old way of language. And as I said, I'm Dutch. I'm not actually English, because you can also hear that probably. But I would love to read this book. And it's, if you haven't heard about it, it's about these two sisters. One is like very into the senses and how she wants to like love. There, you got me already, you know. There are already words on there that I do not know. So basically, one sister is all about the senses and like feeling and finding love in that way, and the other one is all about sensibility, like the mind. I have to find someone compatible that thinks about these things and can be passionate about that. And then they kind of like come together and are like, we need both in the situation. But I'm interested in these. This looks horrendous. I'm sorry. This is just, I feel like it's not bad. I'm not saying that, but it's just the way that books have been written in the past and how they are written now is so different. Maybe not if you compare them with the genres that they belong to, but I feel like, for example, this book compared to this book, this is like you know what I mean? The way that like even the paragraphs, like where are the paragraphs? This reads like a chunk, and the chunk continues on the next pages. And then this is like so much white space. You know what I mean? Such a difference. Not saying it's bad, not saying it's good. It's just interesting. You know what I mean? We're almost at the end. I think the next two books are a little bit lesser known, or at least, yeah, I think they're more of a niche, probably, but they're both South Asian culturally inspired. The first one is The Healing Hippo of Hinode Park by Michiko Aoyama. Japanese name. I can't do Japanese. But this one I've seen in the bookstores so many times lately, and then I saw it in the library. Fate. Basically there's just something that I love about Japanese novels and the way that they can describe their culture in it and have like these superstitions and beliefs and just so many little traditions that I do not have in the Netherlands, and that's always so interesting to read about, especially if you have like the mundane life and it's intertwined with a little bit of magic realism. And we kind of see this healing hippo, because who doesn't love that? A healing hippo. And 5 strangers whose lives were separate, but then suddenly intertwine as they try to find solutions for their problems and find it through this healing hippo in very unexpected ways. It's just such a cozy, healing vibe, I feel like. And it's something about the Japanese books that they just deliver on that, you know? Like, I read that book, what's it called? The Traveling Cat Chronicles or something? I should look it up. But that one, it was just such a cozy thing as well, and it made me cry. But like, it was a good book, you know? It just hits you in all the right spots and it gives you the feels. And I really want to write a book like that. I feel like every time I saw it in a bookstore, I was like, oh, this is such a good idea. Not necessarily like The Healing Hippo, but I want to write something that's inspired by folklore or like something, a mythical creature or mythical something. It sounds just so interesting, especially if it's something that not a lot of people have thought about, or like traditions that a lot of people don't actually have since it's a different culture. And I just find that very intriguing. So I think that's also why I got it now, because I just want to know what it's about and how they write this story, and how he, I think it's a he. Okay, I'm so sorry. It's a she. So that leaves me to the last book in this spring TBR list. Cafetri by Eamon J. Bailey. And don't we love the cover? So this book has been written by a man from India, I believe. And so it's inspired by some of the South Asian traditions. And it's about a girl named Kafi, and she's a Temu. Don't know what that is, but it's kind of like a berserker, I think. And she's an underdog. And she is going to find the kind of hierarchy system that she has been grown into, and where she has basically been, I feel like it's enslaved, but I'm not sure if that's actually what it is. But it's a very dark world in which she lives and has to survive, and she is out for blood. Like, she is going at it, you know? And it sounds like an epic fantasy novel, if I'm gonna be honest. And this book, I think, has been shortlisted for an award, so maybe some people know it, but I had never heard of it before, and it sounds so intriguing. Like, wait, let me read the back for you, okay? Meet Cafetri, outcast, underdog, and survivor. Kafi is a Temu. Her people once feared berserkers, and the spearhead of a continent-spanning invasion are the dregs of Ryan society. Their spirits crushed, their swords broken, their history erased. But Kafi has a dream and a plan. She will do whatever it takes to earn a place at the secretive Mage Academy, face the Jinn within its walls, and gain the power to rise above her station and drag her people out of the darkness. Except, power and knowledge come at a cost, and the world no longer needs a Temu who can fight. So they will break her, beat her down to her knees, and make her bleed. But if blood is what they want, Kafi will give them blood. She will give them violence. She will show them a berserker's fury. I just got chills from that, you know? I want to read that stuff. So, last book of the list. That's all of them. And I don't know with which one I'm gonna start. I feel like I will start reading one of the classics and then continue reading the other ones in between, because I feel like I will never get to the other ones if I only read like the classics. And I will be showing you the result of my crochet. But before I do, I have a question for you. What book of this list would you pick if you had to choose? Because I love them all, but maybe you have a very different taste, and maybe you have better recommendations for me, or something that aligns with these stories. Let me know in the comments, and I will look forward to reading those and getting to know what you love to read, and yeah, maybe we can chat about that. So, the finished project. So, here it is. Look how cute with the little bows. I think it's so cute, and I love the pattern. Like, I love green. So I think this is perfect. But I will be making, I think, more of these because I absolutely loved making it. But I think I'm gonna use a different pattern for the next one, so that I have like different ones that I can work with. I also made this little adorable cactus. It's so cute and fluffy. And I got this one from a friend, which is like a shark. It's so cute. And I would love to be making more of these. I would also love to make a bag or something, like a sweater with like those flower crochet patterns. I love making things myself. So if you have more, let me know that as well in the comments. And I will see you in the next video, which I hope will be soon. Bye!